The halacha for today, we spoke about bishul akum, something was cooked or baked by a non-Jew. So if the non-Jew cooks in the house of the Jew, it's still prohibited. In order for it to be permitted, we need the presence of one of the household, the Jewish owner or his family, somebody from his family, at the time that the food was cooked. But if someone walked in and out during that time, in order to, at least somebody walked back and forth, that would prevent the goy from bringing something that is not kosher into the house or into that dish. So that would not be sufficient. There is someone going in and out, it's not sufficient to deter him from putting something into the food. You have to have a Jew present there the whole time that he is. You are the mashgiach. If it's your house and you have a chef, a non-Jew chef is cooking for you, you need to be present at the time that he's cooking.
Rabbi, would there be any difference between meat or just preparing vegetables or chopping up some, like a salad? Yeah,
because you don't know what spices you can put in there. You never know. Yes, so v'chen tzarich, you need to also, it's not sufficient that the Jew will be present at the house. The time of cooking, you also need him to be involved with the cooking. How? You have to put the dish on the fire. The Jew should place the dish on the fire, or you should light you should turn on the oven or light the fire. And if the goy is cooking in his house, we need the Jew to place the dish on the fire. And according to the Mechaber, the Shita of the Beis Yosef, the Maran Beis Yosef, even if the Jew is in the house, meaning the goy is cooking at the house of the Jew and the Jew is there, we need the Jew to place the pot on the fire. Now, a dish that was cooked by a goy but was not completely cooked, it started cooking, maybe 40-50% is cooked, you're not allowed to eat from that dish, and it doesn't help that now you are making the fire stronger or playing, or to take it off from the fire and putting it back on. That would not do it. But if it was not yet cooked, completely, and the Jew took out the dish from the fire and he put it back, then a Jew is allowed to eat it because the Jew is a partner to the cooking. So if it was cooked all the way, then it doesn't help your involvement. Then now that you're getting involved, taking it off, putting it back on, that means nothing. But if it's not completely cooked, 40-50% cooked, and then you took it off the fire, put it back on the fire, that would do the job. Then you're partner to the cooking, and it will be permissible. But if it's type of food that you can eat raw without cooking, for example, apples, he's making maybe some kind of compote or something, and it's food that you can eat without cooking. So we don't have the concept of was it cooked completely, it wasn't cooked completely. In that case, or it's a type of dishes that are not delicacies, they're not proper, they're not dishes that would go on the table of kings, like sardines and things like that. You're allowed to eat them even if the goy cooked them. Meaning, if I was able to eat the food without the goy cooking it, then he didn't do much by cooking it, therefore it will be allowed to eat it. So summarizing the halacha, summarizing what we learned. We learned that a Jew needs to be at the house when the goy is cooking. Going in and out is not sufficient. Then we learned that he also has to be involved with the cooking. He has to be partner to this cooking. And according to the Mechaber, according to Beis Yosef, you have to, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, writes that you have to place the dish on the fire. You have to place. Now, if it was not complete, if it was completely cooked, and then you walked in and you're starting to get involved, it doesn't do anything. If it was not completely cooked and you took it off the fire, put it back on the fire, that would make it permissible. And if it's a food that is edible without cooking, then by the goy cooking it, it doesn't change its status, and you're allowed to eat it. But this is a specifically food. One addendum to this is specific. We're dealing with food that is not is something that would not be served on the king's table. Meaning it's not a delicacy. It's not something important. And the example he brought of falafel or sardines, things like that. Okay, that's the halacha.